Hey everybody, it's Alexis with Create Your Future. I am back with a brand new video and a exciting success story today to use for reference, as well as let's talk today about just some manifesting tips. I'm going to do a refresher about how you create your reality, how your thoughts create, and how you influence everything and everyone around you. So stay tuned for the exciting just like refresher. I think everybody could use it. Before I get started though, just a reminder that to book one-on-one coaching with me, if you want one-on-one help with whatever you're manifesting, as well as one-on-one hypnosis, all the links for that are in the description box below, as well as links to purchasing any of my pre-recorded hypnosis audios, as well as my current bestseller, which is the hypnosis affirmation tracks about recreating your reality or about your specific person. Okay. And so let's talk about this today. This is going to be a part one, and then I'll do the next video the week after is part two of reminders about manifesting, how you create your reality, and then how this applies to a specific person, because most people that I talk to are trying to create or recreate a specific person, just like the client who inspired these videos and who I really thought was a good reference point. Okay. So just as kind of a background story, like I like to do on most of my success stories, this client that came to me, she was out of contact with her specific person. They previously had a hot and cold kind of like thing going on, and they knew each other for a long time. They actually knew each other for over 8 years. It was about 8 to 9 years. And during that time, they had other people that they had been with. One of them had been married. I don't want to give too many details away. I'm just always erring on the side of confidentiality. And one of them had a kid. It was the specific person. He had a child. So a lot had happened in the time that they knew each other. Okay. But the client, she came to me and said, I'm really in love with him. He's my person. I know he's mine. I think he's my soulmate. I want us to be together. I want it to work. And so we worked on changing her concept of herself and then changing her concept of him, which are both, I want to say too in the video today, they're both part and parcel of creating your reality, recreating a relationship. At this point, and all the people I've helped you guys over the years, you really can't do one without the other. So you can't do a bunch of SP affirmations and changing a specific person without changing yourself. And then the other thing is, if you are changing a specific person, recreating them, rethinking them, you want them to show up differently, which is what that means, then we have to also affirm for you as you affirm for them. You've got to do both consistently, collectively, decide that's what's going on. Go within, not outside of yourself. Go within, not outside of yourself is the other key point, right? You're going within, you're changing your perspective, you're changing the meaning, not looking outside of yourself. Okay. So that is what was happening with this client. They had all these things going on. And she is in the middle now. At this point, she has recreated it, and they are working on defining what their relationship looks like now. They're communicating about what they want to do in the future. They're communicating about combining things like finances, how they would have kind of a blended family, because that's what he wants, that's what she wants. But in the 3D reality, okay, this is an interesting point. In the 3D experience, as I like to call it, that we're here living, right? They are communicating, they are talking, they are talking about things, sometimes they get into an argument. Right? So that's something to think about. She's not reacting, she's being human and discussing what she needs. He discusses what he needs, and they're working through all of those things. So first of all, let's talk about how did she do this? How did she change it, right? So when we first talked about it, I was listening, and I'm usually listening and kind of being intuitive and gathering information, and then using all the things that I've studied over the years to kind of think about, what does this person need to think? What's the limiter that's keeping them from being where they want to be, okay? Because we have a limiter usually within ourselves, and that limiter also applies to a specific person. Now, she in particular had a lot of things that she was saying out the gate in the first session about, in her case, her SP is a man, so about the opposite sex, like men don't want commitment, men don't listen to me, men don't open up to me emotionally, men aren't the ones who initiate. I have to do a lot of the initiating, which I found a lot of people have these assumptions. Okay, So I said, okay, well, it's really time to rewrite and to rethink and redefine and redecide what you think about men. Because the more that you think that, all the it's creating a generalization, right? Now, I understand generalizations come from collective beliefs. And I'm not saying that some men and some women aren't like this, but you really want to think about it. If you're manifesting and recreating a specific person and you have specific thoughts or you hold within you specific things about that gender, that gets in the way because it just recreates altogether. So I said, okay, you got to write all these down. Like there were so many. And I said, but I want you to write them down and pick out your top 5 that seem like they're the most biggest trigger. Okay. And then let's decide what you're going to think instead. The moment you guys, the moment you begin to do this, your mind begins to hear and listen and overhear. Oh, she's changing this. Oh, she's ready to let this go. Okay. It begins to, like, even just talking to me for 45 minutes, we begin to change. Your mind hears new concepts, it hears new information, and you begin to shift and change, which is just the coolest thing, right? Remember that anything is possible for you. You just got to kind of get out of your own way, allow it to happen, think the appropriate thoughts, and send that out to your universe. Because it's your universe, you guys. Like, it's yours. Whatever you want, it's already yours. And it's your quantum bubble. It's your universe. It's your perspective. Okay. So always come back to this principle. That's why I have it on my wall, even though my head is often hiding it. But it's your universe. That's why this is possible. It's not like possible because it works for some people and not for others. And it's this big, like, existential thing that we're doing here. And it's so complicated and deep. It really isn't. It's your universe, your thinking, and your assumptions create how people show up. Okay. So I said, as you go through this, I was telling her, I want you to remember this is your mind. It's your universe. It's your perspective. And it's not like in your physical reality, people aren't thinking things or they're just out here like blocks of blob. It's that with the meaning that you assign things and how you perceive things and what you think and what you hold within you is how things create, and it's how you interpret things. And then that is your life experience. Like for an example, with this client recently, they had an argument and then she booked an emergency session or pretty close to it. She booked a session really close so that she wouldn't get triggered, think a bunch of negative thoughts and create negative stuff. And I said, okay, so what are we going to give the meaning to this? Let's give it the meaning. This brings us closer. He wants to apologize to me. We're having a great conversation. We're getting closer and closer, deeper emotionally. And this is the tie that binds us. Things like this, experiences like this, because most of us in our physical reality who have manifested wonderful partners, I consider myself to be in that camp because I've done it on purpose with my husband. It doesn't mean that we don't have arguments or there aren't things that trigger you. It's looking at how do you perceive those things, right? So like most of you know, or if you're new to our channel, I have a son who is now a year old, you guys. I can't believe it. And in that year of becoming a mom, and we were newly married, we had so many challenges, my husband and I. We had so many things to work through in getting to know each other again as parents and defining how are we in motherhood and fatherhood and bringing this beautiful being into our reality. But time and time and again, we would come together and I would create and I would recreate. This is bringing us closer. This is making it even more of a connection between the two of us, because what we don't want to be doing is being triggered by a fight, thinking things are over, going into old wounds of abandonment and or rejection, and then pushing that out. So I guide my clients in what they're doing mostly because I've been through these things myself. And because I know that in the physical reality, we're really taught a lot of things about relationships, about that they're difficult, about the divorce rates, if you're in America or wherever you are, about things not working, about men this, women this. I know that it can be a challenging subject. And I too once viewed it as being so challenging, but there are challenges that we incur along the way. The more that you consciously create your relationship though, the more effortless and the more seamless and the more fun and the more in flow and the more in harmony you will always be. Okay. So just like me, I guided that client too. I said, okay, like, how are we going to view this argument? Let's view it. I know that it's difficult, you guys, in the moment of being triggered. So if you're watching this video and you feel like doubtful, you feel like any feelings of desperation, like things are over, like things don't work out for you, I'm here to tell you that they do, and that things will work out and things are working for you. Okay. So just like her, I said, okay, like, let's really, really hunker down. Let's hunker down and stabilize ourselves in the thoughts of stability, security, safety. And I said, and thinking, I'm amazing, I have this, and really deciding that. It's not thinking, I'm amazing, I'm doing a bunch of cookie cutter affirmations like a Band-Aid and thinking, I'm amazing, I'm so special, I'm worth it. He doesn't like me, what's going on? This never works out for me. Those are the thoughts as a conscious creator you really, really want to watch. Because underneath all your manifesting, if you assume and if you believe that life is difficult, things don't work out, you always have some obstacle, life is a struggle, then that's why you will come back to creating in your relationship struggles and difficulties that seem like a monument, that seem like immovable, that seem like a mountain, because it's just your perception. We want to see like, oh no, this is not immovable. This is not a huge mountain. This is not something that's horrific or huge or right. We say like, oh no, this is possible for me. This is becoming easier and easier. My life is beginning to feel effortless in the flow. I'm in the flow of me. I'm in the flow of life. And my relationship is too. We're getting closer and closer. We're becoming more and more emotional together. We're more and more connected. We work through problems. We're great problem solvers. Okay. So that's what I had her do. Now, what happens when you begin to do that is you send thoughts to your mind sends out and transmits thoughts outside of you and to your specific person, because your people within your reality are showing up how you tell them to be. They're showing up how you expect them to be. They're showing up how the thoughts that you send to them is how they are outside of you. I know that it sounds basic perhaps, but it's a really cosmic, magical, wonderful ability that we have, you guys, to think different thoughts, to consciously choose a different perspective, consciously give it conscious meaning, right? Which takes slowing down and defining, how am I going to look at this experience? How am I going to look at this circumstance? How am I going to define and give meaning to this? The moment that you give it different meaning, everyone else overhears that meaning and everybody supports you in that evolution of that trajectory. Okay. The other thing to think about is that in the solution, we don't have the problem, which is a little bit of integrative psychology, neurolinguistic talk. But Neville Goddard talked a lot about this with his Living in the End, which is the same, which is that in the solution, we don't have the problem. So in the evolved, growing, like with this client, evolved, growing, beautiful relationship, there weren't the limiting beliefs of this is so difficult, this is so hard, this never works, everything doesn't work for me, things are getting in the way, men aren't emotional, men don't listen, men don't want to give me what I want to give them. Okay. So remember that as much as we understand that we have limitations and we have limiting beliefs, we have then therefore limiting assumptions. We don't want to stay in the place of figuring all that out. I know that it sounds counterintuitive. We want to be in the solution. There are different areas in your mind. It's like there's one area that's full of all of the limiters and all the negativity. There's the other area that's like calm, cool, collected, and just like, oh yeah, this is working. So where are you going to be today, you guys? Where are you going to go? Here, full of overthinking, overanalyzing, speedy thoughts, the racing mind, the monkey mind, all that? Or are we going to go for stability, strength, perseverance, resilience, staying on top of what you're thinking, how you're perceiving it, and therefore I'm doing this. And I do this a lot because it's like what you're pushing out. What are you influencing into your reality? To go to the piece today of manifestation basics, this is all of it already, but remember that the thoughts that you think begin here in your mind, they go to the back of your brain and they send out into your reality, which is like I've talked about in videos over the years. And I think the first one was like years ago. It's called the reticular activating system, which means that like I've used this example because this was me at some point. When I wanted a Tesla, I would think Tesla, I want a Tesla. And then I would see Teslas. Now I do live in an area where there are a lot of Teslas, but I didn't always. When I would do this on purpose, I would see Teslas. The Uber would be a Tesla. Everything was a Tesla. I ended up even getting a BMW that was an electric car, which is so funny because that was my choice at the time and I loved it. Okay, little personal caveat, side note. Okay, so you guys like really, really, really think about this today. Just like this client, no matter what your situation. And for the part one here, I'm going to talk about the part two of how she also moved through her personal blocks about her self-concept and really, really, really learning how to embody being amazing, how to embody being a conscious creator, how to live your life like you're on top of the world, right? Which is so necessary as we consciously create, but doing it from a humble, grounded, confident, beautiful perspective. That's going to be part two. This week, focus. And today, start your week off with the beautiful point of, how am I going to think about things? How am I going to put myself first? How am I within me going to take care of my own needs? How am I going to create that beautiful, stable, secure, grounded place? Because that's something that I see a lot, is that I have a lot of clients who want their specific person to take care of things for them, be there for them, suffice their emotional needs. Well, remember that your reality begins with you. So whatever you're wanting, whatever you're needing someone to do, whatever you want them to do for you, you give it to yourself, you think that you have it, and then you think that they give it to you too. And then it's a whole roundabout beautiful thing, right? But keep this simple. Put yourself first. Think thoughts. Guard the garden that is your mind, and fill it with beautiful thoughts today. Let's make this an effortless process, because it really is. Your thoughts create, and that's how the mechanism of all the laws of the universe work. All right, you guys. So I will see you next week for part 2 about getting into the details of the self-concept of this client and how she really, really recreated her perspective of her, especially with love and relationships, and how it related to her family, which came from a lot of childhood wounds, in the next video. All right. So until then, you guys, make this week awesome. Do some fun things for yourself. Pick up some new hobbies. Do some things that really get you into that beautiful, lovely, juicy energy of you. And then think new thoughts from there. That can be a game changer. All right. So I'll see you guys next week. Have an awesome day. Bye.